I'm your host, Scott Norton, and welcome to At Large. On this show, I talk to world-class creatives who use business to bring their ideas to life. We'll hear about their creative practices, their most interesting stories, and the lessons that will inspire you the way that they've inspired me. My guest today is Nick Guillen, co-founder of Truff, the brand that dared to ask, what if hot sauce had swag? What started as an Instagram handle became a culinary empire. It sold at nearly every major grocery store, served at Starbucks, and backed by Kim Kardashian's investment firm. But behind the viral moments and celebrity cosigns is something deeper, a commitment to craft that borders on obsession. In this episode, we'll hear how Nick and his co-founder didn't just build a brand, they architected a vibe, pulling inspiration from the worlds of streetwear, luxury fashion, and internet culture to bottle something that feels improbably both exclusive and accessible. And of course, you'll get a primer on truffles. Please enjoy my conversation with the meticulous, magnetic, and mildly spicy Nick Guillen. What is special about truffle? Tell us about truffles.
So truffle has a very unique flavor profile. Umami is kind of what you think of when you think of truffle. And it's very unique. It has a very interesting scent. It has a very interesting taste and flavor profile. One that tends to open up a lot of other flavors and other ingredients when you mix it with certain cuisines or certain fats or certain acids. And when you mix truffle with spice, it kind of does just that. It doesn't only provide a unique umami flavor profile, but it works in conjunction with the heat and it helps bring out other flavors within the dish of whatever it is you're eating.
Yeah. And what is umami?
It's a taste experience that is hard to explain unless you're one that actually smells or consumes truffle.
Right. And it's different than salty. It's different than acid. It's one of the 5 basic tastes.
Correct.
And it's the taste that is commonly found in meat and in things like mushrooms, in tomatoes, and in truffle, of course.
Well said.
And what is special about truffles? Like how they're grown, where they come from? What's with all the why are truffles an elite food?
I believe because truffles are rare in a sense that similar to higher end cuisines and things you think would be reserved for elegant dining or Michelin star chefs like caviar or saffron or truffle, they are one of the ingredients that people look up to based on the rareness of their nature.
So they're rare.
Yes.
And what makes them rare?
They just aren't, they're not growing out of the ground continuously.
They can't be farmed.
And they're not a commodity that you turn into a type of food item.
Yeah.
They're very unique and in lower supply.
Do they still use pigs to find them?
So they don't use pigs anymore. And the reason why they don't use pigs is because pigs would damage the truffle and put the truffle in their mouth. They wouldn't know how to, let it out. They would have teeth marks in them. So now you kind of train dogs,
right,
typically, some type of retriever to go find the truffle, dig it up, and then you give the dog a treat and it drops the truffle.
Wow. And are most of them being found in northern Italy, or where do truffles come from? Black truffles.
So you can find truffles all over in different spots. Italy. There's actually some truffles in the United States. But yeah, typically in Europe.
And so what's the origin story of Truff, the brand and the product? How did it all start?
Yeah, so Truff didn't start as a hot sauce brand. It actually started with an Instagram account. And I was super curious throughout my whole life. And when this new age of social media started to gain a lot of traction, one of the things I was most curious about were people building these large communities and brands very quickly online, specifically through Instagram. And my co-founder, Nick, and I, who ended up being, my partner within this sauce venture, we saw that there was a ton of cool things happening in the space. These brands being growth hacked very quickly, big communities, big followings, grown in a short period of time, and brands that were starting to sell product through these channels. And we realized most of them weren't so focused on building the brand as much as they were focused on building the product. They were more of the growth hacker, e-com people leveraging this community and this ability to go viral very quickly. And during this time, one of my little side hustles was scooping up these original one-word names on Instagram. And one of the names that I got was Sauce, S-A-U-C-E. At Sauce. And Nick and I, my co-founder, his name's also Nick, we knew the value of this piece of digital real estate. So we saw what we started to do is exactly what we saw people doing. We started growing this really cool account, and we were posting content that we thought would resonate well with the pop culture foodie. And the word sauce has two meanings. Within pop culture, sauce is like, you got the sauce, it's cool, it's dope.
The swag, the drip.
And then it's actually like a food.
Yes.
So the theme of the Instagram account was content that we thought would resonate well with the pop culture foodie. Rappers with food, women with food, burger porn, food porn, a bunch of saucy stuff. Mm-hmm. And we were leveraging all of the viral growth hacking tricks at the time to grow the account very quickly. Some big media outlets were following us, some celebrities were following us. And it got to the point where we said, hey, this is cool. We have this amazing sauce account on Instagram, but why not actually create a product? But let's not just throw some off the shelf sauce in a bottle and sell it as a commodity like a lot of these other people were doing. Let's create a real brand, and let's create a product that had true integrity, one that we could really stand behind and be proud of. And the first thing that we looked at was the sauce categories. Okay, was it going to be a hot sauce? Was it going to be a barbecue sauce, a salad dressing? And we were big hot sauce users. We were using Hoi Fong Sriracha in college, just to throw on our $2 TV dinners. And it was also becoming very cool within pop culture. Hoi Fong was kind of having a moment. Beyonce was talking about having hot sauce in her bag. And the deep
on her truffle mac and cheese.
There you go. Exactly. And the further we dug into the hot sauce category, the more opportunity and white space that we saw.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of the brands that we saw on the shelf were either the brands that have been around 10, 20, 30, 50, 100 years, or they were the smaller ma and pa craft. Maybe they were in 20 stores on the shelf. But we didn't see any top shelf hot sauce brand. No one was doing the Dom Perignon of hot sauce or the Ciroc of hot sauce. And nobody was really making an effort to sell hot sauce on the internet. Mm-hmm. Most people were focused on getting it on the store and the shelf or at the farmer's market and pushing the product to the retailers versus direct to the consumer. So when we decided, hey, the opportunity that we're going to target is top shelf hot sauce. And the way we're going to distribute it is by not going to the retailer, by going direct to the consumer. And from there, that's kind of how the journey started.
Beautiful. And not only was there no hot sauce that was top shelf like Dom Perignon and Ciroc, there was no real food that had that luxury positioning, I would say, or I would argue. You did see it in spirits, right? But you really didn't see it in food proper. There really isn't any kind of like food brand, certainly supermarket brand, to do that. And obviously, like, I've also spent a lot of time talking or thinking about hot sauce, right? Being in the condiment business. And to pick up on a few things that you said and build, what's super interesting about the hot sauce category is it is and was at the time the fastest growing condiment category in America, but one of the smallest. So it's growing fast from a small base. So there was some kind of like tailwind. Mm-hmm. Also, pretty much every other hot sauce, every other major hot sauce has some sort of geographic or ethnic positioning, right? So Tapatio, Mexican, Cholula, Mexican, Tabasco, Cajun, even Frank's Red Hot is a buffalo kind of sauce, right, regionally from upstate New York, which is at the time, I don't know if it still is, but at the time was the number one hot sauce by size. And what Sriracha did that was so genius was they added sugar. So when you take any food in America and you want it to sell more, unfortunately, if you add more sugar, it's going to sell more. And so Sriracha was able to have this big bottle and people could like slather it all over their food because it had sugar, and it also had garlic, which added that savory flavor. But it was still this Vietnamese positioning. And what I thought was so interesting about what you guys did was it was not ethnically positioned or geographically positioned at all. It was sort of global in nature, or at least like independent of any specific place or history, but it works beautifully with Italian food. Mm-hmm. I mean, the truffles are a hint to that, but it works phenomenally on pizza. It works phenomenally on pasta. And obviously Italian food is such a staple of the American palate and American restaurants. And so for me, like Truff is the perfect hot sauce for pasta and pizza, which is like, I don't know if you were going after that, but that's just this massive empty, this white space, this open space that you guys were able to move into.
Absolutely. Yeah. You know, when we were making the sauce, we weren't very tactical with it in regards to what food items it would pair best with. We just wanted to make something that we knew was special and tasted very unique. And in the early days, it was my co-founder and I, we literally made the first recipe in his parents' kitchen. And we sourced ingredients from all over the world. And like mad scientists, just went to work over a hot pot in the kitchen, stirring stuff up. And we looked at different chili pepper suppliers. We looked at different sweeteners. Did we want to add sugar to it? Was it going to be honey? Was it going to be agave? We looked at different truffle supply, different oil supply. And once we kind of brought all those things together, we realized, to your point, there was nothing this product was originated from. It was more so inspiration from all different types of flavors.
Yes.
You know, I grew up, you know, I'm half Hispanic, half Hungarian. My grandma would make homemade salsa all the time, right? And I knew what hot, good salsa tasted like, but it was always hot, good salsa. It wasn't so much a liquid silk type consistency that had, you know, sweeteners in it or agave in it or truffle in it or different fats in it. But we knew where we could pull from and what would actually taste good.
Mm-hmm. And in some ways, it's almost like a perfect example of something for the Instagram era or the social media era, where you do have this convergence and this context collapse, right? Because people aren't getting media from a local broadcaster, right? And you might have followers from all over the world, follow accounts from all over the world, and it all kind of converges together in this like nexus. So I feel it's very of the moment for that era of media. Truff's marketing, which, by the way, the other thing that Sir Kensington's and Trough has in common is we were both brands before we were products. Mm-hmm. So you guys created the sauce handle and developed this like sauce aesthetic and sauce following. And we created this Sir Kensington character before we even put our first tomatoes in a pan. So I think that's also interesting that they're both like first brand driven. Because most food is like almost the other way around. And your brand has also been compared, and you're sort of like your playbook, if you will, or your tactics have been compared to fashion marketing and taking cues from the fashion industry or fashion brands. What is fashion marketing and how does it work?
Yeah. So in the early days, we were very fortunate enough to take inspiration and mentorship from a few close people within the family. One of them was Nick's father, my co-founder, and one of his business partners at the time, John Buscemi, who is in the luxury fashion world. He started Buscemi, a luxury fashion house that was made famous for incredible quality Italian sneakers.
Italian sneakers.
Correct. And then...
Truff of footwear.
Yes. Yes. And the other gentleman that was one of the starting five was Aaron Levant, and he had a background in media. He built Agenda, massive, fashion trade show. He also built Complex Con, amongst many other things. So we had a lot of really good information and inspiration to pull from in regards to how do we want to position this brand and how are we going to do it in a way that was so unique the category would actually find it interesting. And we'd get those people's attention to say, oh, like, that's cool. Like, what are those guys doing?
Yeah.
And
the attention of people that were paying attention to culture, not just food.
Exactly. And it was less about focusing on the food and the people that were going to consume it as hot sauce users, and more so around, let's intrigue as many people as we can to this unique brand we were building. And we took a lot of inspiration from different types of creatives, and some of them were in fashion, some of them were creating movies, some of them were sound designers working on albums. And we kind of found really good talent that were doing cool things in different industries, and we applied their skill set to our business. And it allowed us to create a ton of really compelling viral marketing. Like, and when was the last time you heard a hot sauce brand was using a sound designer to find a song before they actually created the pasta sauce launch video? And thinking from a very fresh lens and a perspective that I think was very fresh to the hot sauce category.
Yeah, I mean, there's a certain respect for craft and creativity that you're describing, and also this intersectionality between people, especially outside the industry. The other thing that I noticed, and as I was preparing for this interview and thinking about like what is fashion marketing, is that there are a lot of industries, or a lot of, I guess, strategies where the marketing is there to promote the product and to promote the sale of the product. But in fashion, the marketing actually gives value to the product. It imbues the product with the value itself. In a lot of ways in fashion, the marketing is the product.
Absolutely.
Right? Both the creative body of work and the social apparatus that surrounds something like LVMH or Truff or anything in sort of fashion, if you will, you're kind of buying into this world, this experience, versus marketing as thought of as this like path to sales, which, as you were describing earlier, is you saw a lot of people building Instagram accounts so that they could peddle stuff and hack it. But you saw it differently. You wanted to create a world that was interactive and that had this craft, and you weren't putting, discount codes in the captions and trying to drive everyone to buy, but instead you created this world of craft and editorial that people could lean into and feel part of.
100%.
The other thing I think that's interesting about like this idea of quote unquote fashion marketing, I mean, it's in the name fashion, is it comes and goes. So you ride these cultural waves, and fashion, which has seasons to it, naturally does that because they have to reinvent themselves at least twice a year. And brands are not afraid to, of course, express themselves and express their brand independently, but also cling on to whatever is like hot at the moment in culture. Which brings me to my next question of, how is streetwear different? Does streetwear obey the rules of fashion and fashion marketing, or is there something fundamentally different about the streetwear phenomenon?
It's very similar, and I would even make the case for our brand that we took more inspiration from streetwear specifically than fashion or luxury fashion in general. I think both do a lot of really awesome and unique things. I think streetwear blurs the line of disruption and fashion, doing things very differently. Anti type of establishment, wanting to be known but not corporate. And for us, seeing brands that were coming up on Fairfax, which is the streetwear mecca in LA.
You guys had a billboard there.
Yeah, we had a billboard there. One of our other co-founder and early investors, Aaron Levant, who I mentioned, he had an office on Fairfax. And we would go visit him and get inspiration and just talk about the emerging trends within streetwear culture and trying to apply those learnings and what we felt and the experiences to our brand within Truff.
Like, what were some of the light bulb moments that you saw and you were like, damn, we gotta translate that?
Just doing things in a way that were almost filterless. And I'll give you one example. So, within streetwear, it's extremely competitive, but I think the ones that really stand out not only have a great product, but they have a lot of good hype, but the way that they go about marketing is very unique. And it's almost like this, I don't give an F type of attitude. And with Truff, like one of the very early things that we did was this thing called Truffle Thursdays. And we would basically film ourselves vlog style going to a truffle dealer. The one that we went to was in LA called Truffle Brothers. And we would go pick up truffle. We'd show like a big old vault full of truffles and it would be weighed on a scale. And then we would go to the burger joint down the street, or we would go to a taco truck, or we would go to John and Vinny's, and we would just film ourselves shaving this super expensive fresh black truffle on whatever type of food it would be. And typically we would go high or low. Yeah. And then at the end we would pour truff on it. Yeah. And that, like, who was just the thought of that simple idea, it triggers people. Sometimes it triggers them in a, oh my goodness, that's awesome, or oh my goodness, these kids are idiots.
But either way, they can't look away.
And they're telling people and they're sending it to people. And you just create this grassroots style of viral content marketing. And then you learn and you iterate and you find other pillars and continue to multiply.
Yeah, I think that the other thing about streetwear is that it's casual, right? There's a certain power in showing up in a casual way, right? It isn't that it's like thoughtless, but stylistically it's casual. And there's something too about Truff that it's like simultaneously very high end and very considered. And the glass packaging is very solid in your hand. The custom milled top is very specific and reflects light in a very specific way. But there's something about the fact that you can just bust it open and pour it on any food that has that casualness of streetwear 100%. That I think like is irresistible to people. And it's accessible, right? I mean, people will say, oh, $17 for hot sauce, that's expensive. But like pretty much everyone in a grocery store has $17, right? If they are in the consideration set for $250 pair of sneakers, right? Or a hoodie, then they can afford a Truff too. So I think you did an amazing job of putting it, kind of making it guilty by association in that world and giving people permission to participate in it and to grab it.
Definitely. And that price point was one of the huge advantages we had selling a product online, right? We were selling a $20 hot sauce on the internet at the time when you could buy paid media on Facebook and have a first order profitable business. Whereas now, if you're trying to do that, I mean, even back then, if you're trying to do that with a $5 or $7 hot sauce,
we couldn't. Yeah, we didn't ever sell DTC because the unit economics.
So the arbitrage for us was being able to capture a ton of market share very quickly in those first 3 years, but it also allowed us to bring great brand awareness.
Yeah. How has Instagram changed over time? I mean, in so many ways, the lifeblood of your company and the attention has been on Instagram and how you kind of play that instrument. How has it changed over time?
It continues to change drastically. Every month there's a new update. We launched before video was a thing and people going viral on videos. It was a lot of just still imagery, and then they launched video, and then video eventually transformed into longer videos. And then for a while there was like IG Live, which was cool. Yeah. And then, now there's Reels, etc. We've slowed down quite a bit on the social media side of things over the last year as we've rejigged our business to help help position ourselves to be more successful in mass, and pricing is kind of one of the things that we were talking about
in retail.
Yeah, in
grocery.
retail,
Yeah,
because our business is 90% retail now.
It's 90% retail. And what are your biggest retailers? So Whole
Foods, Sprouts, all the big natural
Walmart,
guys.
Target,
Target, and Costco.
I bought it at Costco.
Yeah, any major retailer. But in the beginning, social media was our means to creating the brand.
Yeah.
And figuring out which formula of content pillars helped us achieve that without removing. At the end of the day, we want people to understand what our product is. We want them to know how to use it, but throw in this fun viral content at the same time. So we had a very tactical, specific formula of what things we were going to post, how many times we're posting a day, how to jump on culturally relevant trends, when to, do something a little bit more edgy and take a little bit more of a risk versus to when not to do that. So there was definitely a formula for the first 6 to 7 years of building the social media presence.
And what do you think works the best now?
I would say really trying to bring original thought to your product, despite any industry you're in, doing it in a way that's just very new. Like Truff was one of the very first CPG brands to use VFX and CGI creators to build really cool content on the internet.
Right.
We've had hundreds and hundreds of millions of views with these types of styles, and that hadn't really been done. Now you see everyone's doing it. Sure. Yeah. But in those early days, like we were doing this in 2018, and people were like, what is that? How did they do that? That's super cool.
So again, really visually engaging, kind of can't look away.
Yeah. And that stuff still works, but you have to do it in a way that doesn't look super fabricated, because you can hire.
Well, especially now with AI.
Exactly.
People see the slop and they just keep scrolling. Yeah. How is TikTok essentially different?
TikTok, I would say for us, was more of the wild, wild west, less about creating a certain persona of the brand and more so creating viral content, talking heads, UGC, people actually cooking with the product, and then also throwing in baity types of stuff that we think would get people's attention. For example, making an entire pizza using our Truff pasta sauce, spreading it around evenly, then getting one slice of mozzarella cheese and putting it in the middle with one little pepperoni and throwing it in the oven. And then just seeing, oh my God, the internet just went crazy for that. Yeah. And it was less about Truff is this.
A little bit less authentic expression and more stunty.
Yeah, definitely.
Super. We'll link to it in the show notes, but there was a recent episode of Search Engine, the podcast. Do you know that one? That's called the Dubai Chocolate Theory of the Internet.
Oh, yeah.
And it talks about the fundamental difference between how Western companies and Western people think about social media and how Chinese social media works and how TikTok functions. And it kind of posits that Western media sort of is almost like an extension of television, like longer form, more polished production, telling a story, whereas TikTok is about pure stimulation for the eventual purpose of commerce. Because TikTok is, especially in China, like the Chinese version of TikTok, is primarily a shopping platform, right, compared to an advertising platform. Whereas like Facebook still doesn't do very much monetization on actual commerce, right? They're still an advertising platform. And again, I'll send it to you. We'll link to it, but it's a very interesting contrast that makes me, even more careful about using TikTok, because I know that it's hacking my dopamine incredibly.
Yeah, it's bad. It's fun, but it's bad. You'll be there for 2 hours and you're like, wow, what was I doing?
Yeah, I learn a lot though. My TikTok feed is fascinating.
Oh yeah.
How do you stay true as you get bigger and work with these more mainstream partners, these national groceries?
I think at the end of the day, the brand is a representation of my co-founder and I. And I think the DNA of what Truff stands for always comes back to not only us, but the team that we're building around us, and making sure everybody understands the vision, how to actually stay cool, how to actually continue only putting out the best products, the best flavors, stuff that's very unique and exciting to the consumer, how to surprise and delight our existing customers. And I think it's just continuing to do all of the things that we found were successful in the early days and making sure the things that weren't so good, we learn from. And I think continuing to iterate on those things, I mean, it's almost been 10 years now since we've started the brand. We've learned a lot about what works, what's Truff, and what's not Truff.
Yeah. Do you like try and be cool, or is it really like, guys, let's go back to self-expression?
You know, that's the thing about cool and popular culture is cool is a style. And it's a way of existing, and it's really hard to teach cool versus hiring people that know what cool is. Right? Like everything down to the caption on Instagram, the way that we communicate with influencers, the way that we talk to somebody that's extremely famous versus a regular customer. Like there's a way of communication that has to be translated down all the way to the consumer. And it doesn't come from a place of this corporate tension. It's just a very warm, peer-to-peer type of communication. Yeah.
Beautiful. Do you feel like you've had success in being able to hire a team that can imbue that or embody that rather?
Yeah. We built our whole brand with an incredible team that all understood, and we learned from them a lot of times. Like, you know, we're only a certain level of cool. How do we hire people or learn from people, whether it's our partners or new talent that can show us a thing or two? And we're still learning. We're constantly learning every day.
Yeah. Especially now that you and I are getting older. I don't know.
I know.
But there is a new generation.
Absolutely.
With their own codes of cool.
Yeah. I heard one the other day. It's like, clock it. I'm like, what is clock it?
Come on, Unc. You don't know that one?
I know, 100%. I literally looked it up today.
Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty jit.
Yeah.
You have a partnership with Starbucks.
Yes.
And work with some restaurants. What have you learned from working with restaurants?
So all of our partnerships have been absolutely incredible experiences. We've done national chains like Popeyes and Taco Bell, most recently Starbucks. And I think what's really cool about Starbucks is we've been able to offer our product in its truest form to the consumer. And we're allowing them to use our packets with a food item you would normally use on a day-to-day basis. But with Starbucks, I think what's been incredible is there's a strong overlap between their consumer and our consumer. So we're not only able to drive our customers into their store or our future customers into their store to try Truff for the first time, but we're also exposing our customer or our influence to something that is important to them, which is letting people know, hey, Starbucks is great food. They have great breakfast. So it's a perfect marriage and transfer of value between the two brands.
Absolutely. Yeah. They're drafting off your equity, and you are you're getting trial from, imagine, millions of Americans with these packets. Were you surprised by how any of these restaurants think about the partnership, or is there anything that you weren't expecting through your sort of travels and restaurant partnerships?
It's just interesting because, you know, certain brands or companies are looking to get certain things out of the partnership, right? And I think the best partnerships are the ones where the incentives really, really coincide. And it truly is a 1 + 1 = 3 or 10. Yeah. And some of the other partnerships that we do, they're incredible, and they build a lot of hype, and they keep both brands relevant, and they create a splash for a small moment or period of time. But it's kind of a here today, gone tomorrow, but it was really cool that you did it, and we're super proud and happy, and we would do it again. But the ones that are more sustainable, I think, are the ones like Starbucks.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. We talked before about how hot sauce is the fastest growing condiment in America. Why do you think that is? What do you attribute that rise to?
I think people within the United States enjoy food. But I also think at a certain point, they realize food is bland and boring. What can we do to make the day a little bit more exciting? The 3 or 4 meals I'm eating a day a little bit more exciting. Sauce.
Yeah.
Hot sauce.
Yeah. We're living in a golden age of sauce.
Yeah. Let's spice it up. Let's, add a little bit more flavor. Let's help elevate this dish. And also, we live in a country that is a melting pot of culture.
Right.
And many of the cultural influences bring in heat, spice, and flavor. Mm-hmm. And I think a lot of that is overflowing into cultures and people that didn't grow up with that.
Most definitely. Yeah, most definitely. I mean, the increasing kind of cultural and ethnic diversity of America, paired with the fact that, our generation grew up on Chipotle in a way that past generations grew up on McDonald's.
Exactly.
And then, of course, palates get accustomed to it, and they then teach their kids about it, and they want more and more of it. So, yeah, I think that I'm very much aligned with you on that theory. You have raised some money as a company. Mm-hmm. So, largely either bootstrapped or only recently did you raise institutional money. How did you pick your partners?
So in the beginning, it was very, very scrappily, Nick, myself running the business, and the other 3 that I mentioned, Nick's dad, John Buscemi, and Aaron Levant, they were the original Truff seed investors to get this thing moving. And we grew very profitably. We didn't need to raise money, but we knew...
It's incredibly impressive.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
We knew, hey, if we really want to put our foot on the gas, we need, a little bit of gasoline. Yeah. And that's when we went out to a very small group of people, a lot of them through the network that we had built. And it was just very small, raises. The first people were family and friends, and then small little check from a fund. And it was very, very little amount of money raised through 2024, which is when we did the larger deal.
And that was with Kim Kardashian's private equity group, SKKY?
Yeah, Sky Partners with Kim and Jay Salmons.
Yeah. And have you met Kim?
Yeah.
Did she have any advice for the business, or what did you learn from Kim?
She's incredible. I think she's an entrepreneur at the end of the day. She's a creative at the end of the day. And just really being able to talk to somebody that understood what we were doing, but what we were continuing to try to do from the entrepreneurial lens, I think was helpful. And we just riffed on cool different, ideas or fun things, talking about the business, etc. But yeah, she's great.
Wow. I can't wait till the Truff Skims collab. I don't know what that would be. But yeah, she has a high bar for sure. She definitely has a high bar, and she actually has surprisingly good taste. She's maybe the only person in your life that's more successful at growth hacking Instagram than you are.
Incredible growth hacker.
Yeah. Is there a tool or technique that you've applied to the business that's had a positive impact recently? And this could be interpret this as anything from a piece of software to even an organizational or communication method. What's a tool that you've recently put in place?
Tool. I mean, so we're a remote organization, and a lot of times you kind of get siloed with email or text communication. I think just the verbal ability to talk to somebody on a quick pop-in thing, like Slack huddle, for example, just pinging somebody, talking to somebody, figuring out a solution very quickly on the fly versus back and forth, 100 email thread, 100 Slack thread of waiting, and it's like just
There's so much emotional energy in coordinating
ping
people.
somebody and get straight directly to the point.
Yeah.
Like who's the one that said that? Who's the one that made this decision? And trying to go directly to the source of information or the source of authority, quote unquote, and cutting through all the noise, because there's so much time that is just back and forth, back and forth. I'll email them tomorrow, or I'll do this tomorrow, or in an hour. It's like, no, just call them now. Like if we're in a meeting, like we'll literally call somebody in that moment if it's something that's important that we need to figure out.
So that sort of bias towards action.
Extreme bias towards action. Extreme.
Yeah. That is such an excellent skill that I wish I espoused more. Did you ever read this book called The War of Art?
Different than the Art of War.
Different than the Art of War.
I have not.
Yeah, you'll like it. I'll share it with you. It talks about how the root of procrastination comes from this force he calls resistance. The author calls resistance, that appears anytime you are about to sort of like ascend to the next plane of existence or productivity or
I
being.
have read this, but a book on tape. I didn't actually read it.
Yeah. But you know, everyone expects themselves to wake up tomorrow with more willpower and self-possession than they ever have in their entire life and get it done, right? But it is a muscle to overcome that resistance and be like, yeah, I know I don't feel like it, but I just need to pick up the phone and call this person right now, you know?
That's so true.
That is a muscle to build. So
Absolutely.
It's a great organizational muscle.
And my co-founder, Nick, and his late father, they are masters of just attacking something head first.
Yeah.
Extreme bias for action. And I'm more of the resistant, naturally hesitant type of person.
Yeah.
And I think being around these types of people, you just naturally start to put a little bit more pep in your step. And when you do that at an organizational level, everybody starts to move a little bit quicker.
Yeah, that's good. It's very healthy. We can move to the quickfire round, which I like to call at large and off the cuff.
Yes.
So you can answer these questions briefly, or if you want to say a little more, be my guest. The first question that I ask everyone on the show is, are you glad social media exists, or do you wish it never existed?
I'm very glad. I would not be where I am today without social media specifically.
Yes. You've got a unique story there. What's a brand that you admire outside of food?
I would say the Rosewood brand.
Okay. Tell us more.
So I think a lot of influence we also had in the early days was around hospitality. And when you think of food, a lot of times a meal is shared with people, and it creates this environment that is warm and it's welcoming. And we were trying to bottle that experience of a high-end hotel through communication in the early days of our brand. For example, one of the things that we used to do when we were in the garage shipping hot sauce orders, every first-time customer would get a note from Nick and I with their name on it saying, "Thank you so much for your first purchase. We're excited for you to experience the Truff brand for the first time." And that little extra step we thought was super special. Yeah. When you go to a super high-end or nice hotel, it doesn't even have to be super high-end like the Rosewood, you usually experience that sense of welcoming, the sense of touch, the sense of community and feeling. And I think a lot of the high-end hospitality brands really do a great job at giving customers that experience.
Very cool. Yeah. I don't know if he's still the CEO, but Mark Ramadan, my co-founder, who you know, because he's on your board, we had a relationship with the CEO, Radha Arora of Rosewood. Have you met him?
I just listened to a podcast.
Oh, wonderful. Yeah. And,
the Stod Guy podcast. I don't know.
Oh, they interviewed him? Okay,
Yeah.
Very cool. And you should try and find a way to get to that team in Hong Kong and that family, because the family that owns that has a lot of retail interests and art museums, fashion stuff. Very, very interesting. Have you ever been to Hong Kong?
No.
Oh, you should go. You would love it.
Yeah, I would love to go to Hong Kong.
You would love it. And I think they do a complex con there every year.
Yeah.
So, I mean, doing a Truff pop-up or something like
Absolutely.
that would be sick. What's an up-and-coming food brand that you think is doing something really fresh?
I really like Bear Bells.
Yeah.
I think they do an incredible job with flavor and texture.
They do a great job with product.
And I've been really impressed with their growth.
What's a dream collaboration you'd want to do?
I think McDonald's would be cool.
So cool.
Just a very well household name.
Yeah.
I think that'd be awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. It's perfect.
Like a Big Kids meal or something.
Oh, that's a great idea.
Yeah.
A Big Kids meal. That's great. Yeah, with a massive ketchup packet shaped Truff packet.
Yes, exactly.
That would be and a dope toy.
Yeah.
That it comes with.
100%.
Like something
a little
like Truff
collector's item
related.
Yeah.
Like a little spoon for like truffle salt bumps or something.
Yeah.
That would
a little keychain or something.
Yeah. Do you have a secret talent or hobby that might surprise people?
A secret talent. I'm a scratch golfer.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Does that mean no handicap? Is that what scratch means?
I could go shoot even par.
Yeah.
Yeah, at a golf course.
That's good.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, I mean, it's kind of a cool little thing to have.
Okay. All right. Might have some people to introduce you to.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's the biggest mistake that you've made that you're now grateful for?
I would say the biggest mistake that I've made that I'm now grateful for is not trusting my gut and intuition of being an entrepreneur earlier than I ended up making that realization. And when I was 26, I had quit my job and moved back home with my parents. And I was an Uber driver for 2.5 years while Nick and I started building this sauce account. And at that moment, I think I was battling the ego of wanting to be independent, wanting to have a job that allowed me some freedom to do what I wanted to do. But I knew at the end of the day, I wasn't happy with my life at that time. And every day I would just kind of kick that under the rug. And the sense of freedom that I actually felt when I quit my job to go all in full time on my dream of business and creating things is when I knew, wow, this is who I've always been. And I wish I would have done it a lot sooner.
Wow. Very cool. That's quite the rise. Wow. From Uber to Uber successful. That's great. Celebrities love Truff. What have been your favorite celebrity interactions?
You know, there's been a ton, and you know, we've had just so many random people post Truff or use Truff. I think every day you see somebody new that you're like, oh my gosh, like I watched their movie, or I watched the TV show, or it's Real Housewives, or Below Deck, or you know, it's on Keeping Up with the Kardashians randomly. But I think the biggest one that really felt a sense of, oh my gosh, was in 2018 when we got on Oprah's favorite things list for the first time. Amazing. And Nick and I
bet that did numbers.
Oh yeah, that was one of the biggest, needle movers for us in the first year, and second year, because we made it on the list again.
People trust Oprah for food.
Yeah.
They trust for everything.
Yeah. And we got to meet her. They flew us out to New York. They did a segment on TV, and it was just Nick and I on set with Gail and Adam Glassman. And next thing you know, she is behind us saying, "It's my favorite hot sauce." And they got our reactions of Nick and I being surprised by Oprah. And we were just like, I didn't know.
You had an out of body experience.
100%.
Oh my gosh, that's fantastic. We're here in Austin today, where you live now.
Yep.
What's the best part about moving to Austin? And don't say taxes.
Taxes. I didn't even know that was a thing. I honestly think it's community. And I moved to Austin 5 years ago, but it took me until about a year and a half to make an effort to build community and friends. And the second I kind of lifted my head up out of the tunnel that I was in, I realized how many incredible people were around us, how many like-minded entrepreneurs, how many incredible fitness athletes, artists, creators, so many different parts of people I've learned and been inspired by. Yeah. And the food scene's also great.
Yeah. There is a warmth and a connectivity and a lack of pretension here that
Definitely.
I really like. That's
Definitely.
refreshing from New York and LA, where even grounded people put on airs.
100%.
So that's good. That's a new skill I need to learn too. You can pass on this if you want. If you were starting a brand today for the first time, how would you position it? Where do you see the white spaces today, either product or brand culture?
I would say the disruption in modern day brands are going to be around the way people use them and the convenience. I think if you look at a brand like Create or Groons, they're inviting a new form factor to an existing thing, but they're also doing it in a way that's exciting and brand forward. So I mean, I would love to see more of that. And I think walking the line between gimmicky and actually convenient and fits within the normal behavior of consumers is where I would kind of try to find the arbitrage in the white space.
I always say consumer is always about having 1 foot in novelty and 1 foot in nostalgia. Mm-hmm. It's about what's familiar and what's fresh. Mm-hmm. You got to combine those two things.
I love that.
What's a mantra you live by as an entrepreneur?
I think one of the things that I always think of is happy, savage. And you could be a killer in business or sports or whatever it is that, you know, keeps you going, but you can also do it in a way that is happy, and you do it in a way that's positive. Yeah. And you do it in a way that
makes people around you feel tall.
Exactly.
We ask everyone to finish out each show for one good recipe.
We're going to do just a basic omelet. Okay. 2, use Vital Farms, large, or organic eggs, or the best eggs you can find. Doesn't need to be Vital Farms. Crack it in a little bowl, whisk it up, get your hex-clad pan, spray it with some Primal Kitchen avocado oil, let that thing get warm.
I love how you're bringing in the actual brands into every single one. Yeah.
I'm just thinking of what I use every day.
Yeah, of course.
Then you're gonna whisk the eggs up really, like almost to a point where they're getting a little frothy.
Yeah.
Throw the eggs in the pan, put the lid on, and when the lid's on, you'll steam both sides. You actually don't need to flip it.
Yeah.
Once you see the top start to cook, there's like maybe just a little bit of dampness. You'll get your mozzarella cheese, put your mozzarella cheese out. Sometimes I usually chop up some, fresh turkey or ham or whatever it is that you have, layer it on top, flip it, fold it, throw it on a plate, drizzle it with some truff, and then a little salt and pepper, and you got yourself breakfast.
That's breakfast.
Quick and easy.
Phenomenal talking to you today, Nick.
This was great. Thank you so much for having me. And again, congrats on all your success and all the things you continue to do. It's been amazing.
Right back at you.
Appreciate it.
Good to see you, Sauce Bro.
Yes, you as well. The Sauce Boss.
Thank you for tuning in to At Large. Our theme song is Son of Sanford by Motion Worker. Subscribe wherever you get your podcasts and by email at atlargeshow.com. Follow me at SWH Norton on Instagram and Twitter, and DM me about the guests you want to hear on the show.